Hi, my name's Amy and I'm one of the directors of DDD Perth. And today I'm here to talk to you about submitting to conferences. You may have been at a conference and wondered, how can I become one of these speakers? How can I be one of these people who are on stage presenting? And today we're going to talk about how you can make that a reality. I would like to start off by acknowledging the traditional custodians of this land that I stand on today, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation. I understand that you could be watching this video anywhere in the world, so you are very likely coming from different land. So, what is a CFP and what do people mean when they talk about submitting a CFP? CFP is a call for proposals. It is sometimes referred to as a call for speakers or a call for content or a call for papers. But for DDD Perth, we refer to it as a call for proposals. This is when an event is asking potential speakers to propose what talks they're able to give. Similar to submitting a tender or putting in an offer on a house. Sometimes people will refer to their talk proposal as a CFP or say that they're submitting a CFP, which isn't technically correct, but that kind of terminology will pop up. So is this just for DDD Perth or is this the same for other conferences? No, you can use this process at most events. Most conferences will have a similar CFP process and similar requirements. So most of the time you'll be able to reuse an existing CFP submission, especially if the conferences are going to have similar audiences. Some conferences may have limitations on how long a proposal needs to be, but the process is often still the same. That being said, some conferences are invite only, and so they won't have an open submission of proposals. The other main exemption is academic conferences, even ones in the tech industry. They tend to have their own special requirements, and the CFP format is quite different. So keep that in mind if you're wanting to submit to one of them. What can you talk about at a conference? We get this question a lot when we're talking to people about potentially starting to submit to events. And the thing is, everybody has something to share. Everyone has something to talk about. We all have a different context, we have different experiences, and we can all bring something different to a talk. Even if you don't want to speak at a conference, this can be really useful to come up with ideas of talks to give at meetups, at lunch and learns, or in other formats like streaming, recording a video, or even writing blog posts. At DD Perth, we've put together a really useful resource from a variety of different sources, which can help you to come up with ideas of what you could give a talk about. You can find the link in the description of this video as well, and we'll have a quick look at the worksheet. So now it's your turn. Have a look through the worksheet, see if you can fill out some ideas of potential topics that you could talk about. I'll wait. Now that you've filled in the worksheet, we've got some hints and tips to help you come up with topic ideas and to help make this easier in future. The next time you find yourself having to research something during your work, write it down. Check back at your notes regularly and see if there's maybe a theme going on. You may be able to combine multiple items into a talk, or there may be something that's big enough for a standalone talk. Nothing is too small, and different events will have varying talk lengths. At DDD Perth, we have 45-minute and 20-minute talk lengths. There are also really great lightning talk slots at some events, which are typically about 10 minutes. This is a really great length if you don't think you've got enough to fill a longer talk topic, or if you're just not quite ready for a full talk. 10 minutes can go by very, very quickly when you're on stage, and you'll be surprised at how little content it actually takes to fill a 10-minute talk. If you come across something you'd like to know more about, write a talk about it. You don't have to be an expert on a topic to give a talk. if you've just learned something, you've gone through the same experience as the rest of the audience, and you're actually in a really unique place to give a talk on it because you can still remember exactly what that audience is going through as they learn the new thing. Everything has been done before, so don't feel like you can't give a talk because somebody else already has. As long as you put your own spin on it, your own experience, how you did it, this is what the audience will find interesting and this is what they will want to hear about. So don't feel that just because somebody's already given a talk about AI, you can't give a talk about AI. Don't assume that no one is interested in what you're talking about. Somebody will be interested. Somebody will learn something from your talk. And remember, event organizers know who their attendees are and they will know if the talk is going to be relevant to them. So they won't accept a presentation if they think it's not right for the audience. At DDD Perth, we also have anonymous community voting for our talk. So you know that if you make it onto the agenda, that's because a lot of people voted and said that they really wanted to see your talk. Once you've come up with some topics, next is writing your talk proposal. The best thing you can do is to practice writing your proposal. And we're going to give you some resources on how to do it. It gets easier the more you start to write talk proposals, and you'll start to figure out your own voice in how you write your proposals. In reality, you are likely to be tempted to reach for AI to help, but we highly recommend for a little bit, write it yourself. You can play with ChatGPT later to finalize it and make it look a bit nicer. Practice writing your proposal yourself. Break your content up into a few different topic points. Aim for 3 things. This will make it much easier for people to remember. If you have too much to talk about, try and break that into a different talk. You don't want to be overwhelming the audience with a lot of different content. Your talk proposal will then be broken up into 3 different parts. First, we have the context. This is where you'll talk about your audience, how you and they have a connection, how your experience is the same, and how they can relate to you. Put context to start to set the stage. Next, bring up the problem. This should be a common enough problem that they are able to relate to it. And last, we have the promise. How are you going to solve that problem? You don't have to give away all the answers. They've got to leave something for the talk, but let them know a little bit of a teaser about what to expect from the talk. Here we have another really great resource, which is a template so that you can write your own proposal. I will wait while you start to jot something down. Now that you've got your first example of a talk proposal put together, let's have a look at some hints and tips for how we can make this easier next time. If you haven't given a talk before or are planning a new talk, it's often worth writing a blog post on the same topic. This will help you to get your ideas out on the page, and writing a proposal of the talk will be much easier. It also gives you something to include in your submissions that you know what you're talking about. And when you give the talk, it gives you a resource to share at the end of the presentation. You lose nothing by just submitting a talk. It never hurts to put a submission in. Worst case scenario, it doesn't get in. And some events will even give you feedback on your proposal if you ask them nicely. Again, at DDD Perth, we have anonymous community voting. So unfortunately, we can't tell you why if your talk didn't make it in. A lot of our talks don't make it in, so we don't have the answer to everything, unfortunately. Sometimes an event may feel that your talk wasn't relevant to the audience, or perhaps there are improvements that could be made on the proposal. So maybe you could reword things to make it clear that it is specifically for a particular audience of an event. Unfortunately, first impressions really do matter. We're told not to judge a book by its cover, but despite that, we know that people will often judge your talk on the title and abstract, and in particular, sometimes just on the title. When a committee is reviewing your proposal, they will likely have hundreds or thousands to go through, so a good title is your first chance to catch their attention. The second is your talk abstract, the proposal that you've written. This should tell them what your talk is about without giving too much away. This is even more important for DDD Perth because we do anonymous community voting. There are a lot of talks to choose from, and people may only glance at your title to decide if they want to read the description, let alone vote for it. There is a really great sweet spot for a proposal length. This should include enough information that people know what they're getting in for, but don't give away all of your secrets, otherwise they won't need to come for your talk. You also want to make sure that you don't bore people reading your proposal too long and they might lose interest or not bother reading it at all. Every conference has different requirements, but most of the time you'll be looking for 100 to 300 words. Don't feel like you have to limit yourself to one talk. If you find your proposal is getting too big, it might need to be broken up into multiple talks. It's often useful to have a couple of talk proposals ready to go in case you need them. For example, if you have a talk on DevOps, you might have a variation for a security audience, for a back-end audience, and for a front-end audience. But don't submit too many per conference. Try and keep it to about 3 proposals per event, depending on what their restrictions are. When writing a proposal, you're erring a little bit more on the storytelling side rather than going deep into your technical content. But know who your audience is. They may want deep technical in your proposal, but most of the time you are better off telling a bit of a story in the abstract, keeping the deep technical content for the talk. Don't be afraid to go into storytelling mode. Now that we've gone through some hints and tips on how you can come up with topics and put together a proposal, we've got some really useful resources that you can use to continue this work yourself afterwards. A Book Apart has a really great book by Lara Hogan, which is Demystifying Public Speaking. I can highly recommend getting a copy of this book. I have my own copy and the ebook version that I can refer to anytime I need to. We have a discount code DDD Perth, which you can get a discount on it. There are some really great resources out there as well to help find conferences and to help with a little bit more advice on submitting to conferences. So I've written a blog post on how to submit to conferences. It goes through a lot of similar content as well as a few resources for where you can find conferences to submit to. Confs.tech is a really great listing of upcoming tech events, and Sessionize, which is a tool that a lot of events will use to allow speakers to submit to their event, has a discover feature. So you will need to create an account and log in if you don't already have one, but you should be able to discover upcoming events similar to the topics that you tell Sessionize that you are interested in. So what happens next? Well, we would love to see all of you wonderful people submitting to DDD Perth at some point in the future. Currently, we have submissions open for DDD Perth 2025, which is coming up on Saturday, the 20th of September. But you may be watching this video well into the future, and we could be opening submissions for DDD Perth 2035 by that point. You can have a look at our website, dddperth.com, to see whether or not we have talk submissions open yet, when they're closing, and how you can go through and submit them. As I said, Sessionize also has a really great Discover feature. So you can use Discover events in the sidebar, and it will tell you any events that you've got coming up, as well as information about the kind of audience they have, the topics they're looking for, and how close it is to you. So is this a nearby event, or is this something that's a little bit further away? If you need any more help after watching this video and filling in the worksheets that we've provided for you, you can get in touch with us using a variety of different contact methods. You can find these all at dddperth.com. And while we have CFP submissions open, we have a bunch of really amazing mentors who will be happy to help you out with your talk proposal, to give you any feedback that may be able to make it easier. It's also worth noting, if you're a little bit cautious about submitting to and speaking at a conference for the first time, DDD Perth does offer speaker training for all new and experienced speakers. So we're able to help you out if you're a little bit nervous about the getting on stage and giving a presentation side of things. We have plenty of resources and help available to you. Thank you very much for your time and watching this video, and we wish you luck with your next talk submission and hope to see you at a DDD event or a similar event anytime soon.